Greetings, kittens. Welcome to the Podcast of Doom update. We recently wrapped up Part 2 of Episode 35, Clampdown, The Siege at Waco. I hope you've had a chance to listen to it. We're now ready to announce the next 5 episodes, with the first episode expected to be out in late May. Episode 36 will examine the Piper Alpha oil platform explosion in the North Sea. When oil prices fell, the rig was put into double use, pumping natural gas as well as oil, causing some safety features to be compromised. When additional work was needed to meet this extra demand, Occidental Petroleum chose not to cut back on production. A series of oversights and errors led to an explosion and fire that killed more than 160 people. Episode 37 takes us back to the Soviet era and what was at that time a little-known nuclear reactor near the town of Chernobyl in Ukraine. Safety systems were turned off during a safety test when design flaws, coupled with misuse of equipment, led to an uncontrolled reaction and steam explosion and a subsequent graphite fire that burned for 9 days, dropping radioactive fissionable material over Eastern Europe and the Western Soviet Union. Episode 38 continues a theme looking at 2 ship explosions, one at the height of the First World War in Halifax, Nova Scotia, and the other in Texas City, Texas, shortly after the Second World War. When a French cargo ship laden with explosives collided with a Norwegian vessel, it produced the largest man-made explosion prior to the advent of nuclear weapons. 30 years later, and to the south, another French vessel loaded with 2,200 tons of ammonium nitrate caught fire and exploded, producing a blast almost as big as the Halifax explosion. In episode 39, we will flesh out the background of popular historical anti-hero or cruel misanthrope Vlad Tepes, or Vlad Dracula, or Vlad the Impaler. Take your pick. As a powerful prince, caught up in the large-scale power struggle between the Ottoman Empire and Hungarian Empire, Vlad chose sides based on the crisis of the moment, and earned a reputation for impaling both his opponents and hapless villagers. Folklore grew around him, and Bram Stoker was inspired by these stories to write his own story about the vampire, Count Dracula. For episode 40, we will examine the mass demonstrations at Tiananmen Square that took place in 1989. Hundreds of thousands of ordinary students and citizens took to a massive plaza in central Beijing, as well as other cities, to express their dissatisfaction with social and economic changes taking place within China that were helping some but hurting others. Eventually, the Chinese government responded with brutal force, mobilizing as many as 300,000 troops and entering Tiananmen Square with tanks and loaded rifles. I thought that I would also address the fact that this is an ad-free podcast. We do not rely on advertising to generate revenue. Instead, we rely on your generous contributions to keep the podcast afloat. And if you are interested in helping out this cause, please visit the website at www.thepodcastofdoom.com and click on the donate button. That is not to say that I've ruled out advertising, because I can shill mattresses, postage stamps, and razor blades with the best of them. However, as a listener of podcasts myself, I find it slightly annoying to have the continuity of a good narrative broken by a 30-second or 1-minute ad break. However, should I see a way of vastly improving the show and money is needed, advertising is one way to get it. Before signing off, let me ask, are you tired of always losing your place when reading a paperback or hardcover? Can't remember where you left off, or are all of your books dog-eared from folding over page corners too often? If that is the case, then you need to check out Barry's Bookmarks. Barry's Bookmarks always keep their place. They are easy to find once tucked between 2 pages, and they never need replacing. They can be used in all sorts of books, large and small, thick and thin, fiction or nonfiction, and they are now available in Audible and Kindle formats. Remember, Barry's Bookmarks. Order yours today. The next episode will be next month. Until then, keep your ears pinned and your tails taut.